going to present something that Dr. Warfield sang yesterday, and I hope I can come even close to his degree of passion.
Now, have you had a chance to glance at this in whatever shape? What did you do in learning this? You had to have it for your voice teacher, and she or he assigned it to you. How quickly do you?
Yeah, this is a poem by Heinrich Heine.
He at least knows that. Let's get it.
And it's drenched in irony. It's a ballad story of two sad soldiers that have lost the war.
In what war?
Rusland, Russia. It's Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon has been smashed, and the poor soldiers are marching home or trotting home to France through Germany, and their great dream of empire they see crushed and smashed and destroyed all around them. And the first soldier says, the song is over. There's no hope. The second one says, well, I agree. I would just die here with you, but I have my wife and my children to tend to, and I have to deal with them and go home. And the first soldier says, forget the wife and forget the kids. I have a higher dream. Says, I dream that one day I will be lying in my grave, and then their Kaiser, Napoleon, will come, soaring over my grave, and I'll be there, and I will be waiting in my grave as a sentinel, and I will rise up, and I will rise up out of the grave to serve, to defend my Kaiser.
And what is the tune that is incorporated in Schumann's Lied that it didn't belong to him in the first place?
You'll notice strains of the Marseillaise, the great patriotic.
Tell me, before you began, have you been affected at all by what you got from Mr. Warfield, Dr. Warfield?
Yes.
Well, you don't have to tell us what it is. You just see if it is. All right, now we're going to start. Is this a master class?
Yes.
All right, so we start off. Now, you have told more than you have to in most small recitals, or in a competition, or in an audition for a conductor or a manager. You have given what you don't even have to do it for most of them. But now you're ready. When you walk in, I do this in my class in performance. I have you come in from there. And I am the accompanist. You've never seen me before, and you hope to God I can play your music. Sometimes, there are people, like my mother was that kind. You could bring her a manuscript that had been left out all night in the rain, and you wanted 2 keys higher. She could do it. That is not my talent. So that this is easy comparatively, and then I happen to know it. But when you walk in, you should come immediately to your accompanist whom you've never seen. Tell the accompanist that I'm doing this as it's written. I am not doing any repeats. And if you have any changes, they should be marked in red. Because anything in a black ink is going to look like the printer's ink. That's not enough of a light to give you a warning. Do you understand? You should make it as easy as you can by making it easy for this accompanist with whom you've never had a run-through. How many times have you all had this kind of a date? Very epical. It means a lot because Maestro so-and-so is out there. And you walk in and you've never seen it. It could be Divide and Grenadine. But now what happens when I play for you tell me to start? When you come here and talk to me, and you say, I'm not doing any repeats, I'm doing it as it's written, and this is all quiet. They don't hear, and they shouldn't hear any of this. And then when I get to the bend of the piano, I have introduced myself clearly about my name and my classification as a singer. And then you give the title, it would be hoped, that is Divide and Grenadine by Schumann. That, you know, that isn't telling anything. Speak it clearly, separated from the composer. And you have told the accompanist, when I begin to stop being Jimmy Joe, what's your name?
Joe.
Joe. When I have stopped being Joe and I try to be a grenadier, I will lift my head to singing position. I shouldn't have to turn to you and tell you, okay. When I lift up, I am at performing position. Give me 2 more seconds and then start out. Then you are on whether you're singing or not. Do you get that? Sometimes you have the advantage of only one note, like you don't get this. But this gives you, your aria you're going to do, gives you a very good preview of what the type of song. So now you stop being Joe. Stop being Joe, try to get yourself to be. And when you come up to singing position, I'll count 2 slows and then start.
Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Käfer hangen. Da hatten sie beide das traurige Meer, dass Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
You're very fortunate because I let you get all that far. It isn't that there's something wrong with it, but most of the rest of it falls into this category. Now, I would like to know what you were thinking as you did it. You translated each word. You knew what you were talking about. Now, could you also read it? You couldn't do it from memory as a poem.
I believe I could.
You could try, and then you can have the book if not. Do it as the poem. Who wrote the poem?
Heinrich Heine.
Heine, and it was a poem long before Schubert saw it. All right?
Nach Frankreich.
Let's do it for a poetry class, for a drama class. Do it.
Die beiden Grenadiere von Heine. Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadiere. Sie waren.
That's why you need it. Many a singer has memorized well, but the minute you separate it from the adaptation for music, then they forget it. Doesn't mean you don't know. But read that unashamedly, as if you were reading it for a poetry class. Now read it with the feeling you expect.
Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadiere, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Käfer hangen. Da hörten sie beide die traurige Meer, dass Frankreich verloren gegangen, besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
All right, let's do it again with expression. You're doing it according because you did it rhythmically, but that's not the way he conceived it. And it's another thing if you will put in front of your head right here, you singers who are fooling with poetry, that you strive for truth because it came to the poet in a certain way. It didn't come not from right to down. How did it come? Speak. You're telling the story. Go. Nach Frankreich?
Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadiere.
Now, I don't get that. You came down. Nach Frankreich, it is 2 Grenadier. The punchline is 2 Grenadier, isn't it? 2 Grenadier came. So I don't expect to put you on the spot now, but when you go home, you study this. What? I'm about to call you. I would like for Dr. Well, of course, I wanted to prepare you for Did I say anything that you would not? This is primitive. You will be finished off by him. Yeah, not finished off, finished. He puts anything he feels like saying, you should say it. I don't want this to seem like it's a fight superiority. I come nowhere near, and I realize it, nowhere near Dr. Warfield. We're thrown together a whole lot, and he gives in as a gentleman, and the fact that he knows I don't know too much, because I've had no personal producing experience of performing. But, sir, do you have anything this early to say?
Yeah, I want to work with him. I'm very sick, but I want you to finish what you
Well, I have nothing more. Get acquainted with the poem. You don't seem to know what you're speaking about as well. Try once more reading that first page as if you were doing a dissertation.
Okay, nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier.
What about it? Go on.
Die waren in Russland gefangen, und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hangen. Da horchten sie beide das traurige Meer, das Frankreich verloren gegangen, besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
All right, now we'll go right from there. Dr. Warfield.
I would like for you to sing the whole thing straight through.
All right.
Because I want to get the conception of the whole idea you have of the piece, and then we'll go back.
Well, that's what he would like to have had. I was trying to get from what I observed. That no, I don't mean to be doing anything for I don't know what to call it. But I can save time because we have many people to take. If you will get the attitude. Now, he wants it like you want it, all the way through. I'll be happy to go all the way through. So.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen. Sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hangen. Da horchten sie beide das traurige Meer, das Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen. Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier, wohl der kläglichen Kunde, der eine sprach, wie weh wird mir, wie brennt meine alte Wunde, der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus, auch ich möcht mit der sterben, doch hab ich Weib und Kind zu Haus, die Höhne mich verderben, was schenkt mich Weib, was schenkt mich Kind, ich trage ein besseres Belangen, lass sie bitten gehen, wenn sie hungrig sind, mein Kaiser gefangen. Gewöhn mich, Bruder, eine Bild, wenn ich jetzt sterben werde, so nimm meine Leiche nach Frankreich mit, begrab mich in Frankreichs Erde, das Herrenkreuz am Nottenbahn, sollst du auf Herd mir legen, die Flinte gib mir in die Hand und geht mich um den Degen, so den Kaiser zu schützen.
And I'd like to know how much time. An hour and a half.
Let's go to work. Now, first, how much German have you had, and with whom have you studied it with whom? So far as diction is concerned.
4 years with a native German teacher.
All right. Have you studied diction of German in relation to how you're going to sing it?
No,
Okay.
I've had suggestions.
Okay. You need to make an absolute study of how, of number one, let me number one, there are a couple of things that you seem to be confused on, and that is the actual sound of the umlaut when it's over a word, and how you would use the short eh sound, like in geschlagen and things like that. And then in the singing, you never use anything that's in G with g. It's for long n, not for long gen. You don't not ever say for long n. It's for long n. Long. It's long. It's in G. Just so and then en following it. So let's go right from the beginning, and we'll work first on the German, and then we'll, when you have a GE like in geschlagen, you don't have you might have to make sure that it's a short e. It's never a g. G is the French mute sound, but it's geschlagen. It's not geschlagen or geschlagen or anything. It's just a short e. Let's go from the beginning. Now, what I want you to do, Sylvia had you do something else. You're just relating a story here. When we get to the soldiers and their conversation, you have to be absolutely aware of who is saying what, and when the person is making a statement and when they are speaking. So you have to, in your mind, mostly it would have to be just to be aware of the fact der eine sprach. One of them said, how heavy it is, wie weh wird mir. The other said, brennen in my sprint meine einige Wange. And you have to make all of this a dramatic situation. And then when he gets to the end and that Marseillaise comes, you are the soldier who is going to rise up and join the emperor. The people say Kaiser, that's the German word for emperor. It's Napoleon. He's waiting to come back and go to war again for France. So don't think Kaiser means somebody in German. That's the French emperor. You have that clear in your mind, even though this. Now, I want you to just tell me, just say to me those words. Just say it.
The poem from the beginning.
Just from the beginning.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere.
Okay, now, nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. The two Grenadiers, not zwei Grenadiere. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. It's just that simple. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. What? They were in Russia. Die waren in Russland. They were taken prison in Russia. And when they came, when they came to the German frontier, they let their heads bow in sorrow. Now that's all you have to do in there. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hängen. Just do that way, just as natural as you can.
Singing.
No, singing. I'm going back to what you were doing.
Nach Frankreich. Am I rolling the R's too much?
No, that's all right. I'll correct you if you do.
Okay. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere, die waren in Russland gefangen.
Und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hängen.
Now, go ahead. Now,
hörten,
that's
hört-
H-O, Umlaut,
da
hörten
hörten sie beiden das,
die traurige, what is that?
the tragic
Okay,
tale.
good, we're together then. Go ahead, what is the tragic news?
The French,
Das
das Frankreich verloren
France has lost.
Right.
Right? So das Frankreich verloren
gegangen.
Das Frankreich.
Verloren.
Oh, they heard the tragic news, right? Okay. Go ahead.
Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
He's been taken prison, right? Go ahead. Now go ahead. Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Right.
You are telling a story and you are relating it, what they are thinking. Go ahead. Now let's go ahead.
Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier.
What is that?
Then cried together.
All right, then what did they did? Da weinten zusammen. They cried together. Weinten zusammen. Weinten is the important thing, right?
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier. Voll der kläglichen Kunde.
And der eine sprach, one said.
Der eine sprach, wie weh.
No! Der eine sprach, der eine sprach, wie weh mit mir. That's what he's saying, right?
Right.
So do that. Der
Der
eine
eine sprach, wie weh wird mir.
Der andere sprach, the other was
Wie,
Go ahead.
wie brennt meine alte Wunde.
Okay, now what?
Der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus.
No. Der eine sprach, wie weh wird mir, wie brennt meine. Der andere sprach. There's a difference. Der andere said, ich muss mit dir. Go ahead. See what I mean? You create a situation in which you're back and forth, giving dialogue, and when you give the dialogue of the person that's saying it, then he has an excuse. He said, I would like to go back with you, but he said, but I have a wife and child, and they need me. But what matters? My emperor, he's the one. It's not them. Let them beg bread if they have to. I got to go and help my emperor. That is the only reason that you can say, I'm going to let them beg bread, because the emperor in France has to be saved. Otherwise, it would be very cold and callous to say, oh, what do I care if my wife and child die? And see, it's a whole different attitude, right? Okay, let's go back now and do it again. Now, let's sing with that same thing in mind. No, I wouldn't say Frankreich. No, Frankreich is one word. No, and don't let your rhythm of the piano take you away from just the narration. You are going to be saying something against what the piano is playing, so far as having to. You won't get to that
You're right.
in the piano until you're ready to march, right? So just say it. Just sing it ordinary. Go ahead, right from you.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen.
What did you say?
Die waren in Russland gefangen.
No, say it. Sing it.
Die waren in Russland gefangen.
You said gefangen. You're going to have to really practice to get out of that. Gefangen, not gefangen, no g. Okay. Die waren
in Russland gefangen.
Und als
Sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hangen. Da hörten sie beide das traurige.
No, you gotta learn just da tragen.
Yeah, die
tragen. I know that's difficult, but der, die, and das. And righty.
Dame and Dane. Don't forget that.
I was in the in German, and somebody was over here. Ich habe gegangen, and I said, oh my God. Don't they know that you have to see ich bin, not ich habe gegangen, with the verb to be, it's is, not. So really a lot of this you know if you study German. So get your, da haben Sie, go ahead.
Da hörten sie beide die traurige Mehr, dass Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen. Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier, voll Lob der kläglichen Kunde, der eine sprach, wie wählet mir. Brennt meine alte Wunde. Der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus. Auch ich mit der Stimme.
What's keeping me from I have a wife and child.
Und Kind zu Haus, die Löhne mich verderben. Verschämt mich Weib, verschämt mich Kind. Ich trage mein besseres Verlangen, lass sie betten gehen, wenn sie hungrig sind. Mein Kaiser gefangen. Gefällt mir, Bruder, eine Bild, wenn ich jetzt sterben werde, so nimm meine Leiche nach Frankreichs mit. Sollst du auf Herz gelegen, die Bilder gib mir in die Hand und jetzt bekomm den Nägel. So will ich liegen und Ocean sie eine Schildwacht im Trab, bis einst ich horre. Bis einst ich höre Kanonen Gebruch, wie in der rausigeren Trauer. Dann reitet mein Kaiser vorüber mein Grab, will Schwert erklären.
You're going to have to look at the music, because this is written. The dotted notes have to be exactly where they're. Look, just check your music, make sure that's all correct. Go ahead, we'll go on to the end of it. Again.
Dann reitet mein Kaiser vorüber mein Grab, wird Schwert erklären und blitzen, will Schwert erklären und blitzen. Dann steig ich geworfen hervor aus dem Grab, den Kaiser.
Schumann didn't write that, hey, Kaiser, he didn't write that. They Kaiser.
I'm sorry.
Don't write anything.
Dann steiget.
That's it. I'll just mark this arrow for you to not write anything. Just
Dann steigt
geworfen hervor aus dem Grab, den Kaiser zu schützen.
I am for, now, the piano takes over and has a postlude after that. I don't like to anticipate what the piano is going to do. What I like to do is more or less, I'm not going to say Kaiser, it doesn't make any sense to me. Den Kaiser zu schützen, and then she takes over and stand there absolutely still while I say that chord. But don't anticipate the postlude for her. I'm going to fight with the Kaiser. And just keep that like that. And while she plays it. Okay? Dann steigst du. Dann steigst du Waffen. I will jump up and wake up. Rise up.
All right, I see a big crescendo there. I kind of thought.
No.
I
What I'm saying is, use your poetic imagination. It does not make sense. Let me warn you. A lot of times, people, what you may see as
No, but I thought there was a reason that Schumann did that.
It
Irony.
has nothing to do with you.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. A lot of times the markings in these books have to do with editors who have put in what they think a thing should be. And it does not necessarily mean that you have to follow. If it was actually something that Schumann wrote, I mean, I still as an artist say, well, Mr. Schumann, I disagree with you here.
But he did not write the decrescendo at the end of the line. It's only for me.
It's only for piano.
So,
That you got to be very careful about that, too. Yeah. Okay, down stylish and then end it good and just keep that position.
Dann steigt mit geworfenen hervor aus dem Grab, den Dann steigt mit geworfenen hervor aus dem Grab, den Kaiser zu stürzen.
that is a diminuendo.
Yeah, as I said, okay.
Here's the bedroom. You have bring the thing on. You won't be able to make a contact with me if you that far.
Put right in the curve of the piano.
Right in the curve.
There you go.
Now put it over there so you can,
Now turn it
The
towards
orchestra's
us.
got to get it.
All right.
Honey, you've seen this on. Come here, you all stay. Who are you?
My name is Jali. I would like to sing the song.
Your name?
Jali. My name is Jali. I would like to sing the song Cladwin. No, yes, Cladwin. It's from foreign.
It's from
Foreign.
Fourier.
Foreign.
Fourier. Gabriel. Yeah, I want
One day you got it?
Okay, yes.
you want it from? You know, I wasn't doing the tempo. Now that song's got to be, you tell. If the tempo, if I have not done the, and I wouldn't do the whole thing all over again for this morning.
Yeah.
But if my tempo, I start out, and you say, Lord, that is not my tempo. When you come in, you should give it. And most accompanists will catch on. And you wanted it a bit swifter?
No, I'm not ready for some words.
I see what she has, she's got all.
So,
All right. So, should we finish this?
Yeah, no. Because what I want to work with you on actually does not entail the music. It entails the diction. So I want to, the one thing that I find is most lacking, let me just put this out of the way while we talk about it, is that people, singers, do not have a part of their technique how to say or pronounce what I call the consonants, the expectorant consonants and the liquid consonants. And you have to really develop a technique in which you go into a practice room and learn how to say T's, D, P, M's, N's, O's, and all of those consonants. And once you do that, you transfer it to the text in words first before you even think about putting it to a lot of music. Now, and then down the line, and this is especially true of voices that are small voices, within the framework of what the voice is, there's a dynamic. Everybody has a range from pianissimo to forte. If you have a big voice, people hear it more. If you don't, you still have to have a dynamic range in your voice, and whatever that range is, dynamically, you have to stay in it. I remember the first time I went to hear Kathleen Battle sing. She came out on the stage and she started, I was working, this is a small voice, this is not a big sound at all. But by the intermission, I never even noticed it. Because during the first half of that program, she ran the gamut of what was her pianissimo to her forte, and when my ears heard that, by the time she got to intermission, it didn't matter whether it was a bigger sound or there was a variation in dynamic levels, and that's what made Kathleen great. She never went over trying to make her voice sound louder. Everybody at the bed knows it's a small voice, and it came out right away because she knew what the dynamic levels in her voice was and work with it. Now within that, you have to have a diction that is so absolutely sure, and that the consonants are the things that really give you, they are the greatest thing in the world for giving the clarity of whatever you say at whatever dynamic level you are, and they also are the tools for espressivo singing. Now, let me give you an idea. I'm going to give you a line out of Schumann Liederkreis. It starts, aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen rot, da kommen die Wolken her. Now, you have to, aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen rot, da kommen die Wolken her. That absolute, you have to have your diction. because it's the difference between aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen rot, da kommen die Wolken her. Now anybody, unless they know those words, they wouldn't know exactly what you're saying. But listen. Aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen rot, da kommen die Wolken her. Here will we? Just with diction. And you've got to make that a part of your technique. And especially when you're dealing with a foreign language, because otherwise, now, let's now get down, and I'm going to give you a couple of drills. Okay. Let me just say this first line.
Okay.
Go ahead. Just say it.
Mm-hmm.
No, just say it. Say it.
Speak it. Okay. Votre maison paysage choisi.
Okay, now, what I want you to paysage choisi. All of those concepts. See if you can exaggerate them.
Okay, from here?
Yeah.
Votre maison paysage choisi.
Good, that's better. Okay, go ahead.
Que bon charmant.
Bon charmant. Charmant. Let me hear the term.
Qui bon charmant.
Good.
Masque.
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 More or less. Masque.
Masque.
Go ahead.
Masque.
Good.
Bergamasque.
Bergamasque. Bergamasque. Okay, now, no. The measure before and sing it and do exactly that, what you just did. Don't think of the notes, just do those consonants.
Okay.
Where do you want to give her?
Do you want to sing?
Yeah.
Okay, sing it.
You don't have to sing, you just say the words. It's there. Well, did you hear any of those words before?
No.
That's what I want.
Sorry, I'm so nervous.
That's all right. I'm easy to work with. I let people get away with murder. Okay. Now your diction, so far as your pronunciation is correct, it's fine. It needs that kind of projection. And you're not going to get it all from you. just go back and just what we did. Go to each line and just say, for instance, joyeux de toutes et dansant et cassitiste sous leur déguisement fantastique. Do all of that. And remember, people, in the technique of singing, diction, the part that governs diction is the lips and the tongue. You got to be very careful that you do not incorporate your diction with your tone. The vocal cords, folds here, they're operating, and they're operating very freely. The throat is very open. As it leaves, it's sort of like a dichotomy. It's out there where the tone is going, and it's produced there, and all of these cavities here is giving it its putting the sound vibrations in the air and it's traveling. And as it goes out from your mouth, the tip of your tongue and your lips form your diction.
So,
If I said, I think when I read that sweet story of old, I think when you get to get it all back in your throat here. As a matter of fact, I had and some singers, do concentrate on that, and some great singers, and and I can tell you one. Well, I'll tell you. It's actually a young girl came to me in mass class. I said, "What are you going to say?" She said, "Really, really." I'm going to say, "Really, really." I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's the song. It's the Joan Sutherland version of Visidarte." You get it? Joan does her technique way back there, and she sacrifices. It's a Visidarte, Visidarte. And she admits that she does that because she's concerned with tone and tone only. But when I'm working with it, if you do really have it, your diction is here. You can't say, I think when I read that sweet story, I'm exaggerating, of course. I think when I read that sweet story of old, it's out here. Now, then relax it. I think when I read that, the tone is walking here, and it's going right, and it's stopped by the lips and the tongue, the tip of the tongue and the lips to make the diction. That's the only difference between us and a clarinet. We are a wind instrument, our reed is here, our bowl of the pipe is there, and our difference between us and a clarinet is we have to make words. But we are a reed instrument, a built-in reed instrument, and you do not put anything back here in the throat that should be out there. Okay, now, so what I want you to do now is just go with, take all the words, work with them as words first, and then put them to the music, and let those consonants do it for you, and you'll be amazed. Now, once you do it, the tempo is a nice andante, just wish that's nice, but keep it flowing, keep it moving. Yeah, go ahead.
Should we start two
Yeah,
bars?
go ahead, let's go. That's what she said. Okay, you sing a few couple minutes now.
Okay.
With this in mind. Once you learn it, I want you to learn how to just not punch cha cha chi chi cha cha cha. It has to be a long. Once you don't know it well enough now. You're working on the note, but once you get it, let it flow, let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. Dee da da dee dee da da. Cha 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 cha. Okay? Okay.
I will sing for you A Luce Van Le Stelle from the opera Tosca by Puccini.
Huh? I'm ready.
All right. Now, did we announce it?
He said A Luce Van Le Stelle, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He did.
I know I heard something.
soffiarava la rena, entrava la fracratte, mi cadea fra le braccia. Mentre affrimente le belle far mi svani per sempre stagna mia d'amore, l'ora è fuggita e muoio disperato, e muoio disperata, e non amate mai tanta la vita, tanta la vita.
Excellent voice. What I would like, I'm gonna first tell us what this is all about and why you are singing that first part and why it should be different from when you get into really singing. What are you thinking? Tell us.
The first part, basically, especially when he says "E luce van le stelle," he goes back to remember Tosca, the sweet times that they had, putting in common terms. She's a good lady, she smells good, her roses, type perfumes and that sort of thing. In the second half, basically he knows that he's going to die, and so he really gets into like foreshadowing. He recalls in his own innocence that he will miss Tosca. But basically he knows that he's going to die, and so in desperation he sings his aria.
Now, that whole first section, I'm going to let Sylvia speak to this too, because she will get you specifically, is his underlying thoughts while the orchestra is playing the thing that he's going to sing later on. And I find that it was like you were reciting ja, 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 and that it had no relation at all to what your thoughts inside were about that's going to make you open up and sing later on. Do you agree with me with that? Yeah.
Well, I'm just against anybody's singing what he doesn't know. Now, holding that music doesn't mean he doesn't know it. But did you look up what word?
Yes,
Did you look up what the words are? Do you, Ms. Lee, I have a wonderful translation. I paid extra because I have a translation. Did you look up?
Not really, because one of my places back asked me to come and sing, so that's what I did.
And Dr. Warfield asked you what happened when you first made musical sounds. What is that?
It's
See, you know when you look up the words, it'll make a difference.
yeah, I remember the starlight.
There's no remembering that. Look up the words, put it right over top. But here we have nothing but. He said, what are you saying? That la terra, there is no melody there. Why? He asked you why.
Because it's like almost like a recitative, right?
Oh,
All right.
It is a recitative.
You are speaking.
All right. He knows that. You understand?
Now, it's like I walk out here and say, my goodness, I just don't know what's gonna happen to me. I know I'm gonna die, and then I can remember, I remember so many wonderful things in my life that's happened, and then I know, then you burst into song. But all of that is dialogue, thoughts to yourself that you're doing. And I didn't get one of those. I didn't even get le stelle first. Le stelle. No feeling of what the words were that you were saying. Now, we won't make you do that today because it's going to require getting a dictionary and say those. Say the first one.
Eluce van le stelle.
Now, what does that mean?
I remember the starlight.
Huh?
It's a recital team, so it says a lot not mentioned.
He said says a lot All right, so Dr. Warfield, you have no right to open your mouth and sing words that you do not know. Now, if somebody has a gun to your head or gave you, promised you $2,000 if you learn it by tomorrow morning, you would run and get the tape and learn, and pray and hope to God. But how long have you had this art?
About 10 years. 15
How
years.
could you pot this? So you take over, it's your problem.
Let me tell you, this actually happened. I was down in Atlanta, and I had a couple of Warren Wilson, as a matter of fact, who had just been realizing that he was going to do a lot of coaching. He decided he was going to study Italian so that he would be able to speak it fluently. And it was a blistering hot day. Every opportunity he had to practice his Italian, he would come and he says, fa freddo, fa freddo, fa freddo. I looked at him and I said, freddo? He says, fa caldo, fa caldo, fa caldo. So whatever you think the word is, at least he was pronouncing it correctly. But don't call hot cold and cold hot. And you can very easily do that if you don't know exactly what how beautifully the stars are shining, or something like that. And you got a translation that says, my heart feels better. And it has nothing to do with what it is, you know. So learn those words and then put them together and just say them. Just say them. That's the best I can say. You want to add something, Sylvia, with it having to do with the aria itself, or anything you thought
Do
you
I have
might?
anything to say?
Huh?
What you say?
You want to add something?
I just say they should know what they are going to
Yeah,
come up in
that's
front of
basic.
someone of your stature, even if it was somebody who just started school and was learning to sing. But someone of his stature, you should sing what you know and know well. Now, know doesn't mean, Miss Lee, I know this, I've sung it for 10 years. No, you don't. You've got a beautiful voice, all of us would say.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So that and we're not Italian, so we don't know that you are murdering the language. And we don't care. Most people in the Metropolitan don't know Italian. They're there to hear the message put across. But you have not the right to stand up and take their time up. And because you have down here that you we're not at the aria yet, so the heck with it. You understand? So don't let that happen to you again. Where do you want to hear him begin? At the aria?
At the aria, because
Maybe
where you do have a chance, there are little things that, especially when you're coming off of the high notes, that you can expand to fall into a feel of it, and don't do it now. Do some of the aria again, and if you hear, you holler and I'll hear.
And we're going to start right there.
Mi cadea fra le braccia. Man
there's a big thing that I call just a little pause of silence, not actually of silence, but it's ending one thing and going into the other. Now, when you have made that big first statement, and then you're getting ready to go back again and say it again, it needs something in there, just a little pause before you start. Let's do from the, do the first, do the very first.
Okay, oh, dolce.
If I was a dolce vase, right? I would say dolce vase, right? Oh, dolce vase, now, mente is not important. Right? So if you don't, go ahead. I didn't just Swani,
Last year for dinner.
Yes. Your name is Jesse.
Woods, yeah.
Do you ever tell your name and breathe in after the first syllable?
No.
Your name is Jeff.
Jesse Woods.
Sid. Now, why would you then breathe trio, mente, or somewhere in there, for may, why do you breathe between syllables? Get busy.
Oh, man. Oh,
And you should know of what you are speaking, and there'll be a lot for an Italian to do after you do it,
yes,
to check on it. But look up in the word in the dictionary every word. You will not find them all, but right up over top, because there's no excuse. You're not matching up that voice.
I'm gonna get it.
That getting that voice. God gave you that beautiful instrument.
My name is Verdia Churchwell, and I'm going to do 2 verses of Ode to Ethiopia by Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Please, may I ask you to say it again? And I don't suffer from hard of hearing, even though I'm old enough to. Between saying it over there where there are no people, would you come, maybe if you bring the whole thing over here where you'll be able to centralize what you said, and you don't have to use it, but do it so that you are sure we don't miss it. Start again.
Verdia Churchwell. I'm going to say 2 verses of Ode to Ethiopia by Paul Lawrence Dunbar.
Great.
O Mother Race, to thee I bring this pledge of faith unwavering, this tribute to thy glory. I know the pains which thou didst feel when slavery crushed thee with its heels, with thy dear blood all gory. Go on and up, our souls and eyes shall follow thy continuous rise. Our ears shall list the story of bards who from their rich shall spring, and proudly tune their lyrics to sing of Ethiopia's glory.
Good, good. You know you're at a disadvantage. No, no, step up. You're at a disadvantage when you're reciting poetry stuff to not have a microphone.
No, we couldn't get it.
Yeah, I know. But because what happens, when you have the microphone is that it projects and you can say something more intimately without having to project it or make it go to the back and home. There was just a couple of, I was just going to give you a couple of suggestions on do it again, and I'm going to say, you just do it to them and I'll look at it.
O Mother Race, to thee I bring this pledge of faith unwavering.
Okay, now what I was going to say to you, anytime you can join together in sense, the lines don't particularly follow the line as it is in there because that is put down for the meter and something. So, O Mother Race, to thee I bring this pledge of faith unwavering. To thee I bring this pledge of faith unwavering. It doesn't stop there. I bring to thee this pledge of faith unwavering, right? So combine those, that pledge of faith to I bring. See, that kind of a thing. This tribute to glory, I know the pangs which thou didst feel when slavery crushed thee with its heel, with thy dear blood all glory. Then that's fine. Those from, but that line needs to be brought together. Sad days were those, sad indeed. But through the land, the fruitful seed of better times was growing. That needs to be combined. You don't say, through the land, the seeds of better times were growing. See, it has to follow through the whole, the plant of freedom upward sprung and spread its leaves so fresh and young, its blossoms now. See, and then follow through the sense of it, even if it goes into the next line, and then combine them. Do that again now. That's all I would suggest you do. And just listen and make sure if it's a continuation that you continue and not stop. Go ahead.
Yeah, look at it a little.
Yes, go ahead.
O Mother Race, to thee I bring this pledge of faith unwavering.
Good.
This tribute to thy glory. I know the pains which thou didst feel when slavery crushed thee with its heel, with thy dear blood all gory. Sad days were those, sad indeed. But through the land, the fruitful seed of better times was growing. The plant of freedom upward sprung and spread its leaves so fresh and young, its blossoms now are blowing.
Good, good. That's it. That's the whole idea.
On first looking into Chapman's Homer by John Keats. Much have I traveled in the realms of gold, and many goodly states and kingdoms seen. Round many western islands have I been, which bards in fealty to Apollo hold. Oft of one wide expanse had I been told that deep-browed Homer ruled as his demesne. Yet did I never breathe its pure serene till I heard Chapman speak out loud and bold. Then felt I like some watcher of the skies when a new planet swims into his ken, or like stout Cortez when with eagle eyes he stared at the Pacific, and all his men gazed at each other in wild surmise. Silent upon a peak in Darien.
Excellent. I have nothing. That's fine. Did you notice now what was good about that is he stood there and he expressed something, and he used levels of his voice and dynamics to do a point. If that's all reading poetry is, you know, is a sort of understanding that really basically that's all singing is, except you have to have a technique to do it. You don't have to have as much technique to speak. You should have a good technique of projecting the voice, but when you're speaking. But it's what you are going to bring to a poem to make it your expression of what the poet has put down on paper. And many times, I mean, just reading it over and over and over again will trigger the imagination to do things with it, that if the poet heard it, he would say, hey, that's nice. Good, thank you.
Es hat auch
nothing to say about it. There's nothing to fix, don't fix it. Beautiful singing, beautiful. Yeah. If you noticed, I mean, the thing that I was saying had to do with consonants and diction and things. Every time there was a T, you heard it clearly, the M's, the N's. This is the singing of a finished singer, when all of that is working and you use all of those things to project what you feel about the music itself. I'm sure she doesn't think I gotta do a split here. She just does it. It's become so part of her technique that it's there, and it's there to serve you to project what you want to do. And it's so nice to hear it all coming out right.
This group is the Schiller Institute and Friends. We're going to do for you Solo Be Done.
Going home.
not be 1/10 of the troubles that they are. If we had people in harmony this way, if you were all deaf mutes, that's all. But the singing of it is wonderful, and you have put in the time. So I want to congratulate you, and I know Mr. Dawson is hearing this. Really. I would only say you've got one mispronunciation, and what is that? Well, the does. If we can get you to sing, now that you have put in the hard woodshed, working and got it, it's perfect, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You know what you're doing. If we could now take away, it's got to have rhythm, or it wouldn't be there. But every other word or phrase you don't need. How would you say, sooner will be done? Say it.
Sooner will be done.
Sooner will be done. Go. Sooner will
be done with the troubles of the world.
Yes, now you sang sooner will be done with the you don't need all that and shouldn't, because that only shows intellectuality, which you need to do justice to anybody's composition. Now you've done that. Now it's got to live. How would you do it, sir? Sooner will go. No, say sooner will be, do it.
Sooner will be done with the troubles of
See,
the world.
but when I heard it was sooner will be done. Now we're not going to do that ever anymore. But you could say sooner will be done with the troubles of the world. Troubles of what world? You don't even have to, if you say it for me without singing, Professor.
Sooner will be done with the troubles of the world.
Well, I got to have somebody else to sing. Who is more southern than anybody? Who is carelesser? Sooner will be done with the troubles of the world. It doesn't get to be a D. He wrote D-E, but Paul Johnson, who's the authority on all this, says, you let it come out, it may be an N, but you're not going to give it any emphasis, so sooner will be done. Sooner will be done with the troubles, with the troubles of the world. You don't worry about D and or anything in that speed. You understand? Troubles of the world, going home to live with God. Now I want to tell you, I was watching for the face, and you were doing him obeisance by doing what he wants. But he's worked it so well that if he weren't there, would you give a good rendition of it? Because you feel it. Would you? Do you think you could do it without it? Could you do it without it? And we've got to be sure that you know how to pronounce G-O-D. How do you pronounce it? God. Now make up your minds, because you sang God. You know, that was one of those that is from Boston, where they brought the first of you slaves, and you got to say hot, pot, God, got. If you're going to think about it, some people think of God as being too low class, that only uneducated, well, these are uneducated people sing sooner will be done. Anyway, but if you're going to be prissy and fake about it, and Hochnase, as the Germans say, then I tell them in my studio, take my phone now, call transoceanically to either the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art or Windsor Castle, and engage them and find out what they say. God, God, God. Now, you won't get that right off the bat, but think about it. You don't have to go down the street saying that. But when you're singing a spiritual white or black, and now do you have plans for doing white spirituals too?
Yes.
You are? Oh, that's so great. I wish Mr. John Jacob Niles were here to show you how to do it. There is precious, and I mean very precious, little difference in the folk songs of America, of the white spiritual and the black spiritual. Very, very little difference. The language is pretty much the same. And it is sooner will be done with the trouble of the world. Troubles of the world. We don't even have a V on up. Troubles of the world. of the world. Get it like you go down the streets here and talk. Try to. See if you can do it again. And what I was happy to see, there were not all of you, but some of you were putting the mood in. And you know TV has brought that where you can't stand up like a bunch of wooden Indians and sing this. You have to be in the mood. Because if you're singing in the language or singing out of the language, they got a translation of that. And for you to be standing up, you've got to have. Now, he's not going to let you jump across the floor and do a hop and skip. But you've got to have the attitude. Got it? I'd like to hear you to do it one more time. You don't have to do it all through. Do the first two with me. You're going to... I didn't know. Let's see it someday. They'll let me know. I am complicated. I'm complimented. I am so happy about the performance you did. It is so wonderful. It's almost unique because nobody's doing it, blacks or whites. Let's have it with more. Remember the God, and if you don't remember God, don't try to change it in the middle of the. Just go ahead, but be in it. And he's not going to conduct much. He's not. We're going to see what his homework brought forth, and it is marvelous. Go. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Happy. Troubles of the world, the troubles of the world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Going home to live with God. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. The troubles of the world, the troubles of the world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Going home to live with God. I want to meet my mother. I want to meet my mother. I want to meet my mother. I'm going to live with God. Happy. Happy. Go on. I want to meet my mother. I want to meet my mother. I want to meet my mother. I'm going to live with God. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. The troubles of the world. The troubles of the world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Going home to live with God. I don't believe that though. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Troubles of the world. The troubles of the world. Soon I will be done with the troubles of the world. Going home to live with God. precious little, isn't it? Your work has shown you are to be congratulated, and those one or two things, I'm getting only of the world, do we say of the world, of the world? Of the world. Leave that B or V out and go, your joy has to show. That is the most that you've got to do to not be afraid. Let your leader, Miss Dawkins, tell you when it's too much, but you should have great joy in there when you say, I'm going to live with God. At the very end, have you had anybody go up to the high B? That is not called for in the print, is it? No. But many a person has done, and I think if he were allowed, he would allow it. If you got, you don't need everybody. You don't need everybody. You need one or two. And you can do without it complete, but it's got to have great joy. I want to thank you. Somebody should back you all and work you to death because of the idea of this. And you keep working on what you've done and go forth, really. Don't you feel that it does something to your daily life to be working?
That's why we do it.
And it would do, yes, and it would do you so much good if you were to go around. Do you go around much?
No.
No, you got to start that. It's late. Please remember that. And it's done, it has to be intellectually done to get it somewhere right, but you've got that behind you. Now make it a piece. Thank you ever so much. I didn't know I wasn't to say anything about it.
Sure, that's your turn now.
I thought that it was, I thought I was to say, and I want you to remember, I have very little, and I'm not holding back a lot. You've done wonderful work, and it shows it can be done, and you have accomplished it. Please keep going. You going to do Deep River? Do you feel that I tore you apart? I don't mean to, because I can't really find fault. The work has been done very well, and it should be as primitive as you can get. Soon or will be done. Going home to live with God. That could be or could be called as dialect, but it is dialect. It's black and white. Soon will be done. I'll be going home to live with God. Get the joy in it, and that's all. All right, Mr. Dr. Warfield, do you have anything?
No, that's beautiful.
I would only say throw the training wheels away up in this every syllable, and they now have it, and you can test them by standing in front of them and doing nothing and finding out where they still need the wheel. But I don't think you have any place. Deep River, I want, get rid of diphthongs. Do you know what they are?
Yes.
You've got a few. I want to cross over campground. And we need the attitude. You want to be sure to represent him right. But you've done your work. You've done your scuffling and digging, and you have come up triumphant. Now you just need to do him proud by making it your thoughts. They are disciplined for the rhythm and all, but make it, I want to, Deep River, my home is over Jordan. I want to cross over into campground should be in your mind when you say the first Deep River. Do you understand that? Oh boy, if only I could. Oh, don't you want, and are you going to do any, are you doing, don't you want to, are you doing that, or don't you want to go to that gospel feast?
But we were chewing it first, and I couldn't chew it.
You took
Leave
the chew out?
in there.
I think it belongs in there.
Belongs in there.
Somehow, I don't know, and if you find it doesn't, you clear it out. Oh, don't you want to go? I want to go, as I want to go to that God. Because see, some of it you did that is dialectical, and the other is high English, so you got to make up your mind. It is glorious, and the balance of it, the tone of it, is marvelous. And it shows you put in time. You got all that many people to be brought into a unity. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
This is a little different from the solo version, so I have to kind of make sure I'm not going to mix the chorus up. Lord, I keep so busy praising my Jesus.
Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Keep so busy praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm healing the sick,
I'm praising my Jesus.
when I'm healing the sick,
I'm praising my Jesus.
when I'm healing the sick,
I'm praising my Jesus. Ain't got time to die. 'Cause it takes all my time, all my time. If I don't praise him, the rocks gonna cry out, glory and honor, glory and honor.
Lord, I keep so busy working for the kingdom.
Keep so busy working for the kingdom. Keep so busy working for the kingdom. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm feeding the poor, when I'm feeding the poor, when I'm feeding the poor,
Ain't got time to die. 'Cause it takes all my time. Praise my Jesus. All my time. Praise my Lord. If I don't praise him, the rocks gonna cry out, glory and honor, glory and honor.
Lord, I keep so busy serving my master.
Keep so busy serving my master. Keep so busy serving my master. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm giving my all, when I'm giving my all, when I'm giving my all,
Ain't got time to die. 'Cause it takes all my time. Praise my Jesus. All my time. Praise my Lord. If I don't praise him, the rocks gonna cry out, glory and
Johnson. May I please ask you to do it again? Because you said, my name is, and then you died. Now you believe my name is low, but let us know who you are. Do it again.
My name is Leanne Rodders, and I will be singing His Name So Sweet, arranged by Hall Johnson.
You enjoy it and you love it, and the people obviously love it. I would only say to you, don't do it a tick faster. In fact, it could go a hair slower in tempo, according to Hall Johnson's taking me aside and telling me, you know, this is a happy thing. And that doesn't mean it's running off and you don't know what the syllables of the words are because you're getting so happy. It's happy. It could be done by a sort of disabled old lady. She comes in, I've just come from Fountain. It's got to have the attitude in it, he said, and the way you take your breaths and express yourself. It isn't in the speed of it. He said, Sylvia, don't let them, this is the funniest thing I've heard. He coined a verb. Don't let them cutesy up my spirit. He did that. And through that way, he made me know he doesn't want that the speed does not make it. It's the bounce that it has. And that was his word, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Bill, he said bounce is to it. Be sure that, but your face, which you, when you announced, had her get up and share, and you acknowledged us. Let's clap again and see how when you sing, it goes dead. From the nose up, the eyes go out to lunch. This has got to go, you've got to show me that you know what you're talking about. Now, without her doing anything, you do Just Come From the Fountain. One hair slow with your Aunt Hattie, as my auntie said. Aunt Hattie's way of doing, she knew nothing about music or art. But when you, I've just come from, it's the enthusiasm. I've got to get enthusiasm from you. I won't have you do but about 4 bars without it. Just come from, and it's in your face. Let's go. Go. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. No, you said, oh, Lord, before you thought. The expression of old never has any expression anyway. Sometimes it's before a sad song or whatever. But you've got to be on. When she does her intro for you. You're on. Now, that doesn't mean you kick up your heels, but you come to life and let us know that you know what you're going to say. All right, start without a comment.
Oh, Lord, I just come
No, it's dead in the face. Look at that pretty face. And your face is filled with flames and dimples, and your eyes come to life. Why, when you sing, you take away everything from your face? Don't give us a mask. Go. Oh, Lord, go.
Oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain.
It's too fast. It has no bounce. And you trying to get through with singing. No. Do you understand? Now give me that smile. Oh, Lord. Folks out there, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters out here, I just tell them what you've done. From here over to here. Go. Oh, Lord, go.
Oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain. I just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet.
Now, would you say, Mr. Dr. Warfield, that she needs the bounce?
I didn't hear
the bounce needs to be.
Yeah, I think if you think in terms of using just, landing on just, that it will pull you back just enough so that it will get the bounce. You say, oh, Lord, I just come from, oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain. Yes, from the fountain, Lord, I just come from the fountain. His name so that's what she's trying to get. Cats leader, do you love Jesus? Yes, I do love Jesus. Stop. Don't rush back into one. Leader, do you love Jesus? His name is so sweet. Oh, Lord, it's that freedom that you have. Just you know, just let it happen. Let it happen. I just come, oh, child, his name is so sweet.
And when you do your asking these people, class, what's the first one? Poor sinner. Find one out there. But you're not going to wait for them to answer. You're going to stop the quote and you answer for them. Then you do class leader. And what's the last one? Do you know what that is?
It's an elder in the community.
And he's in church, and he's the presiding elder of the church. And Hall left off the PRE, presiding elder. So you find him and you point to him. And then you step back and answer for him. Yes. Did you hear the enthusiasm he has? Yes. Now, if you stand up here and overdo, this is a lesson. If you overdo, we'll say, oh, honey, yeah, that's enough. You got too much. But do see it because you don't feel it yet, and you're still too fast. Will you start 1/10 of a degree? Start, come, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. There's a bounce, whether you do it visually or if it's on a tape, we should get it. I just come from that, and you'll do that. That's better already. Thank you, baby. Go.
Oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain. I just
do something for me. I want you to do this. Oh, Lord, I just, and stop. Oh, Lord, I just.
The knees
stop. Stop. Do it.
No.
Oh, Lord, I just.
Oh, Lord, I just.
Oh, Lord, I just.
Now, oh, Lord, I just comes from the fountain. Let just start you off. That's it. Once more. Go ahead. Now, and go on.
Oh, no.
Oh, Lord, I
And that'll keep you from going so fast. You still have, and I don't expect you to erase what you've learned this morning, but I want you to think about it. Didn't you hear? Oh, Lord. And you said, oh, Lord. Now, why can't you be enthusiastic? You can't wait to come in. Her intro is your feeling. Do it again. Are you beginning to feel it? Yes. All right, now accuse this person. Go. I'll put it here. Somebody here in this part. Point to him. Go. Oh, sinner, do go. Oh, sinner, do go. Oh, sinner, do oh, sinner, do it, sir. Do it.
She's trying to get you to stop after sinner before you say, do you love him? Poor sinner, do you love Jesus? That's what she said. Poor sinner, do you love him?
That's what you did.
Yeah, I know, of course.
Find him. Go. Poor sinner, do you love Jesus? All right. Yes, yes. And you've got to answer enthusiastically because it's a yes. You didn't say, no, I haven't found my way. Another one, right there. Poor sinner. Poor sinner, do you love Jesus? Yes, yes, I do love my Jesus. Sinner, do you love Jesus? His name so sweet. Oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain. I just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Class leader, do you love Jesus? Class, do it again. Class, go. Is she the class leader? Yes. All right. Class leader, do you love Jesus? But that's got your whole insides in that. Rita, do you love Jesus? Yeah. Got it? Be sure if you don't go too fast, it'll come. You have still a tendency to go a hair too fast. But now let's have her again. And you say, do you love Jesus? You've got to look questioningly at her and encouraging too. Go. Class leader, do you love Jesus? Yes, yes, I do love my Jesus. Leader, do you love Jesus? His name so sweet. Oh Lord, I just come from the fountain. I just from the fountain, Lord. I just come from the fountain. His name so sweet. Sergeant Elder, do you love Jesus? Yes. No. And you said Sergeant Elder. What did he write in there, Miss Accompanist? What's written down? Apostrophe Z? What?
Apostrophe Z-I-D, apostrophe N.
She said apostrophe Z-I-D-I-N. How you say Zidnell?
Zidon.
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 No, you put a vowel in there. Seiden. He has no vowel there. You're putting a vowel there. Seiden, say it. Seiden. See, she's got the, well, you get rid of it. Seiden. Go. That's it. And he wouldn't have written that if he meant for you to do Seiden, which of course is not English, it's not Negroid, it's not dialectical or anything, all right? Now, Seiden, there's no D and there's no I. Seiden, you immediately
Do you know what that's a word, what the word is? What the word is he said doing?
Zion.
Huh?
Zion.
Presiding elder. Presiding elder. And they just did presiding elder. Presiding elder. They call it pre. Presiding elder. You wrote it. Presiding elder is the one that, yeah, but the next hierarchy up in the Methodist Church is the bishop.
Yes. Go. Happy, keep that face, please. Zion. He's the make Dr. Warfield design now. Walk over to him and accuse him. Go. You didn't look at him. You lost him. You're so glad to get that line done. Do you? Please break. Seiden is staccato. Is staccato. No. Do. Elder. Do. Elder. Do. Go. But we'd like you to end in the mood that he wrote it in, and you should be so happy. So, Gimbals. Why else leave it out? His name. Go. His. Right there. His name. So. Like you did. His name. Then I would say that doesn't mean give up English, singing, but give up happy moods. German, French, pop, rock. Don't sing happy things if you can't bring yourself to put yourself in it. Do you understand? Yes. All right, honey, get busy. There's very little for you to do. It's just to bring, even on a tape, I should say, oh, and you say, oh, Lord, I just come from the fountain. It's full of exuberance. And you will find in my pamphlet voiceless sounds. They are gasps. They are chuckles. They are written in there. Surds, S-U-R-D, the sounds that humans make with their mouth that do not have any sound to them. They're chuckles and Those sounds there, we need this enthusiasm. Who? Lord? Now, if you do it falsely and can't sell it to yourself, please don't do it because it'll be horrible if it's phony. You've got to sell yourself the idea. All right, thank you. Who else?
My name is Brian Lance, and I'm going to sing spiritual arranged by Roland Hayes, titled Prepare Me One Body, part of his Christ song.
But tell the crowd. We're not going to repeat this time.
Prepare me one body. I'll go down. Prepare me one body like man. I'll go down and die. A man of sorrow, sinner, see. I'll go down. He died for you and he died for me. I'll go down and die. Prepare me, Lord, one body. Prepare me one body like man. I'll go down and die.
All right. Prepare me one body. To whom are you speaking? And who are you?
Well,
This comes from what?
From the Christ song.
Life of Christ. And
So it's Christ speaking
Christ,
to God.
Jesus, who took upon him the form of a servant and said, make me like one of them. I'll go down and die. It is a command, but it's also a plea, and it's gentle, like Jesus was. You seem to be over-intellectual in doing it. Now, you've learned it. It's like what I told the chorus. You put it on real work. Say it. Put that aside. And when you run out, you'll make up on it. Put that aside, because that's crippling to you. Prepare me one. Now, we're going to do it again, and you be sure. I'll go down. Yes. Prepare. I'll go down. And what? And what?
And die.
Oh, is that the way? And what? And I'll go down and Yeah, but you didn't say it like that. That is the heaviest thing of the whole trip to this church. I'll go down. Go.
I'll go down and die.
It's got to have more emphasis than that.
Oh, okay.
I'll go down. Come on.
I thought it was.
I'll
go down and die.
and die. Do you hear the emptiness between and die? When we emphasize anything, no matter what the mood is, it takes a little time. It takes a fraction of a second. And usually there is a hole with no tone, no speech, no nothing. And die. And this was something for Jesus to do. So that is the punchline. And in my thing, I think you'll see. If not, I'll put it in there. I'll go down and die. That is the punchline from when you start singing. That is your goal. Prepare me one body, I'll go down. Prepare me one body. Prepare me one body, I'll go down and die. You understand? That's not going to be just now, sing it with the determination, but the gentleness too. And so a lot of the time you go by what you've been trained with many a classic thing where you show that you've got, and in the Messiah, you show how you don't need the breath thing. This is folk music, black or white. They know nothing about art and the way to do it properly. They take breaths almost anyway. Most of the time, we don't breathe in between syllables of words, but we do. I remember you did something like, I'll go down, prepare me, Lord, died for you. You said, I'll go down, he died for you, and he died for me. He died for you, and he died for me. Got it? That'll have emphasis too. So now try to get overdue. You can always slice the ham off. Give us got it? Start right there. Prepare.
Begin? From the beginning?
Yeah?
Okay.
Go.
That's
right, go.
Prepare me one body.
Don't look at me.
I'll go down. I'll go down. Prepare me one body like man. I'll go down and die.
Try, I'll go down and breathe after.
I'll
do it.
I'll go down and die. The man of sorrow, sinner, see. I'll go down, I'll go down. He died for you and he died for me.
Let's do the verse. This man of sorrows, got a comma, sinner, see. There are 3 places that you can read. You wouldn't do all of them, but you would never say, with the accents he's got, the man of sorrows, sinner, never. Man of sorrows, sinner, see. You understand? You breathe. You breathe, you must think of breathing like Uncle Josh or whatever. He knew nothing about that. Dr. Warfield could do the whole page without breathing. but he wouldn't do it if he didn't have the feeling. So do you understand? You want to put, because your insights are coming out in nearly every syllable that you say. He died, and Mr. Hayes put these little things up over top. That means accent. Go, the man of sorrow. Go.
The man of sorrow, sinners.
Sure to breathe after I'll go down.
I'll go down and die.
That's fine. You understand? I'm going to try to get Dolly Parton and her ilk to get us sessions together. Because we ought to see, because you remember, you're too young, but do you recall any of the burl eyes that went into discs and LPs? I am a poor, barren stranger while traveling through this world of gold. He was a Juilliard graduate, so that means he was not ignorant. But he had a radio program and a TV one that he put on. That was his signature. And you would have thought that he really came out of dog patch. It was so he worked very hard, as Mr. John Jacob Niles says, you should work hard and at the business of getting simple if you sing this lower economic level of people. With that, you don't overdo it. But if you have people around here outside of Texas that you have been associated with, listen to how they talk if they haven't been past the 3rd grade. Some of them had to come out of school to help raise the family. And therefore, they never knew good grammar. And they certainly never took any art lessons, no dancing or music. What you want to say?
Hello, my name is Shirley Baines, and I'm going to sing Is There Anybody Here Who Loves My Jesus, arranged by Roland Carter.
Is there anybody here who loves my Jesus? Anybody here who loves my Lord? I want to know if you love my Jesus. I want to know if you love my Lord.
Now, tell me right off the bat, did you get her mood?
Yeah.
I should think that she sold you. Is there any? She was eager. She was truly asking each one, isn't there some one of you folks out here who loves my Jesus? I want to know who loves my Lord. Do you understand? Get your mood. This is obvious because it asks the question. And sometimes your question doesn't come in the title or in the first thing. But be very, just keep at it, and we're going to go on to the end.
Second time around or first?
Second time around now.
Okay.
Because he didn't even put that, you decided.
Okay, all right.
See, she's already on before she sings. You ready? Tell me to start.
Is there anybody here who loves my Jesus? Anybody here who loves my Lord? I want to know if you love my Jesus.
got a little operatic part where you began preparing us for this grandiose ending. But there is no indication from Mr. Carter saying that you start getting slow and why? Why would you do that? You really man. No.
I didn't have the voice for today.
You had the voice. You did more than
I cried in the throat today.
Now go to the end.
Is there anybody here who loves my Jesus?
Same tempo, same mood that he has not put one retard in here or change of fine song that can't do it. Because it kills it off and we're waiting. When is the high note coming? When is she going to, why has she decided to change on over into operatic music? All right. You're going to have to keep it. It's got to be that they patent their feet and the pats should not be messed with.
Shall see God. Is there anybody here who loves my Jesus? Say amen if you love my Lord.
Tell you what I told him. Say amen if you love my Lord. Say amen. If you do that and put all that high note in there, you're going to need breath apples. Say amen if you love my Lord. I want to know if you love my... You don't carry 13 words and syllables and tones, not in folk music. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, honey. So the first part of it was love. Now, none about the ride, just go.
Righteous shall see God. Is there anybody here who loves my Jesus? Say amen if you love my Lord.
Now, are you going to go up high where you did before? Say, what did you do?
Oh, no. Okay, that's what I did.
Whatever. Then you do it with conviction or don't do it at all. Don't just stick it in there because you say, I got to put my high notes in. No, high notes are to show off. So show off. And then you take a breath at it. You're at the end of it. Get going.
Where is anybody here who loves my Jesus? Say amen if you love my Lord. I want to know if you love my Jesus. I want to know if you love.
Yeah, but you getting ready. This ain't hard to do. Now go. That brought it down, but if you're going to go up to the B, and he put that as an ossia, and you're going to outdo him and go up to the C, the C gets it, and you hold it about a half hour. And you take a step or two forward while you're showing off, holding your walk on Your enthusiasm. And we're at the end.
Anybody here who loves my Jesus? Say amen if you love my Lord. I want to know if you love my Jesus. I want to know if you love my
Oh, he said I could put it in there. He said if I want to do the voice, I can put it in there. Roll.
Roland said that.
He said, only from the good boys don't crack.
Well, don't do it. Go on. All right. What about my saying when you hold those notes? You're mine.
Oh, I forgot to move. I'm sorry.
But it just shows that you are not having a special production that you can go on. It's nothing to you. Good. All right. Keep working, please. Put more breaths in. When you started off, you were really enthusiastic, and then I took all your enthusiasm. How many spirituals do you think, Dr. Warfield, are there that are definitely men's and women should not do? The sermon types. How many sermon types?
Oh, I have no idea.
Ezekiel and Moses walk into Jerusalem just like John and go down Moses and Joshua and then there's one about Samson. So there are so many that I'd like to see to it that women would not do. Now women are preaching. They are moving up in every field. Thank goodness that it isn't confined to men. But there's something about this virility and punch that I don't think goes well when done by women. And there are 2 or 3 women that want to sing Go Down Moses and God. Somehow I cannot get, and it doesn't say anything about man or woman. But there's some, if it's a sermon type thing, I don't want females in it. All right, now go down Moses. And this you're going to announce.
My name is Dorcel Duckins, and I shall sing for you Go Down Moses by Harry T. Burke.
Authority, she says, authorities.
What else? It admonishes, says, let my people go. There was power there, and he put in, he thought about, did you think about it?
Yes.
Let my people go. Yes. That would be what God would say. Right. Would he say, let my...
Yeah.
You understand? And you can't approach God, but you try to interpret it. And out of that came the voice. There was not as much. Don't do that because that's sacrilegious. I really mean it. Don't stand up in front of people and they're looking to you for a message. And Israel was beautiful, boss. But not hitting on 1/3 of it. We don't get your character. Now do a little more still, and it may be too much. We can slice that off. Go.
When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses.
No, let my people go. Would God say, go down? Would he? How would God say, let my people go? Now give the command. Go down. That isn't the way God. Please, sir, how would he say, go down, Moses? How would God say, go down, Moses? How would you do it?
Go down, Moses.
You not sing it.
Huh?
Sing it.
And the first, I would just hold back the first G. So that then I know that this is a quote or an order.
Right.
So that, and I would probably accompany it with an expression of stern, not necessarily emotion. Play it out, Sister. You play it.
Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses.
Then I become a different character when I say it. Just whatever difference it is.
I see you using it as a chorus. All right, but there's power. There is admonition and there's command. All right. You haven't had too much of anything.
Go down.
God. And I think that we have to get another arrangement, because when people sing this who are really professional, and you, I'm sure, one of them, you don't say, go down, Moses, way down, oppressed so hard they could not stand. He's got it. They could not stand. We don't talk like that. So it goes sort of like the pop songs you buy. If you sing pop songs the way they're printed, you'll never get anything. You are supposed to adapt somewhat. And so please come. And he doesn't know what he has. Half of his is unconscious. Good. And it's all coming out. But he didn't say, now I'm going to be tough, because his work went a lot. And give me your real. When you are pressed so hard. Go.
Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land.
Go down, Moses, way down these lines. Tell old Pharaoh. He would not say old Pharaoh in that kind way, fatherly way. He wouldn't. God would go down. Give him heck. right there. You go down Moses. Do you know it? Just the chorus. Do it. Go down.
Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land.
Actually, I wanted to say something else.
Yeah.
I would take out all of the correct English in this.
Right.
And not put any N's, D's, land, or land, or anything like that, and make it absolutely plain. See, when Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people, not my people, no diphthong, my people go. And go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Not any correct English at all. And from that standpoint, I would also caution, yes, it's good to have power in the first part, but remember you got 2 verses to this.
Right, and this
And
is
so
the
you
narrator.
can't reach a big climax, the first verse, when you still got to do the
Thus
verse,
saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord. And I a lot of times when you have a spiritual that repeats things like let my people go or whatever, there's an interlude in between them. If you don't give preference after you've stated it one time, then from then on use it as an aside. For instance, like let's say when Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard, let my, that is important there. But when you get, thus saith the Lord, go, Moses said, let my people go. If not, then it's just an aside. I don't think you have to.
It doesn't have to be hammered
every time. You know. And then what you all did at the end right now, that would be the perfect way that you did.
At the tail end.
Yeah, at the tail end.
We all are indebted to Harry Burley, but we don't as a people sing in 4/4 nothing. We don't, thus saith the Lord, Moses. I think that you should put it in the rhythm of
Yeah, but what you have to do, how I do that generally is by the gradation of the amount of tone I use. And that's true with leader as well, too. I mean, whatever you do, you have the gradation of tone, and you can't say, meine Liebe, the is not important, so if it's not, thus saith the Lord, go Moses, it's what you lean on, rather than, and then that gives, I'm doing it.
It messes with the rhythm.
But it's, you lean on the emphasis according to what your dynamic level is. And that, I think that takes away the dot, 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 to the clock like that. Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses. I haven't changed the rhythm. I've just changed the emphasis on the word so that they come out. Does that make sense? Sure. Yes. Okay. Gone.
We're going to go. Set the Lord,
Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, how's my
what I say, I'll smite your firstborn is, I'll smite your firstborn. Is that the way he said? If not, Duckins, I'll smite your firstborn. Let my people go. Let my people go. So, thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith the Lord, whom Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people way down in Egypt land.
Did you ever sing it and go up high?
No.
You didn't?
I have.
You have?
I have, but I discarded it afterwards. I thought it was sort of.
Well,
Yeah, you can, but.
God puts.
Does it take it away? Does it?
No, I felt that I had more power to just leave it low and lean into it. That it seemed to have more power. I felt I was showing off on that one.
Let my people go.
That's it worked itself up in an act. Thank you, sir. Would you please? I asked the boy who was our up-and-coming hell lieutenant, and he's from Nassau, born in Florida because his mother had labor pains. She wanted him to be born a citizen of America, so she came over. He was taken back to the witch doctors and everything in Nassau. So he didn't know much. I said, do you know any spirituals? And he said, I know my soul's been anchored in the Lord. That's about all. I said, oh, that would be too triumphant. But I said, no, because Martin Luther King says, I'm going to pray and never stop. I have been to the mountain or something. That was the highlight. They all did that for Martin Luther King. And here we are, right back in and again. Don't you all forget, April 4th is his anniversary. All kinds of things. So you hopefully announce it.
I'm going to sing My Soul's Been Anchored in the Lord, arranged by Florence Price and Joe Hubert.
What do you think of the boys? See that you've already got them, and you know that. Now, as far as this folk song goes, what kind of folk song is it? What kind of song is it?
It's a Negro spiritual.
It's what?
Negro spiritual.
What's Negro mean?
It means black, a person of color.
And not somebody who has gone and worked himself. We've got plenty of them. It didn't just start. 100 years ago, you had a few black scholars. But this is a spiritual. Would you give me reason why you decide that it's got to be done with good English?
Oh.
That every D and T on the end, and the things that he went to the trouble to put apostrophes. I'll sing and pray. You said, and to pray.
I can do it.
Now you know better.
Yes, I do.
You know better. Let me just give it all. You have the enthusiasm. Did you get enthusiasm?
Yeah.
All right. Let's please have it being Negroid or poor white. All right. Go.
In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord.
I'm praying and you ain't got nothing to do. What are you doing? Get it all the
Before I stand, before
She wrote B-F-O apostrophe. Now, it doesn't have to be fo, but it sure shouldn't be for.
I'm sorry.
I'd stay in hell one day. I'd sing and pray my creed. Go.
Before I stand here one day, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I'd sing and pray myself away. My soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. I'm gonna sing.
He told you. Please.
I'm gonna sing and never stop. My soul's been anchored in the Lord until I reach the mountain top. My soul's been anchored in the Lord. Oh Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. Yes, Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. In the Lord, my soul's been anchored in the Lord. God knows my soul been anchored in the
Most of the spirit was there, wasn't it, Doctor? The spirit.
Huh?
Most of the spirit was there.
Oh, yeah.
And she is taking liberties. I think you're taking too many. But I wouldn't be the one to say what to cut out. But most of the composers and arrangers, didn't they allow that? And they didn't have it reprinted.
Right.
But you would be given, but you are doing quite a bit. See if you don't do quite so many, but the attitude was there. Now I would like you to get a difference in your dynamics so that everything is in fortissimo. You know, where you would get to the place where you would do a sudden piano. But I don't have much to do with it that you would stand up here and do, and I don't have to have a cry. You just get to getting your emotions right off. You can't wait to say, in the Lord I've done, and you did that well. Be sure, stay in hell one day. It doesn't have to be big all the time, you know, and you work up within it maybe, but don't start everything for a teaspoon. Got it? You just work it so that you have a variety in it. And not quite so many departures. I applaud those that you did, but I'm thinking about Paul Arms Christ, who would not like them in verse 2 and 3 and 4.
Frankreich verloren gegangen, besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
All right, now we'll go right from there. Dr. Warfield.
I would like for you to sing the whole thing straight through.
All right.
Because I want to get the conception of the whole idea you have of the piece, and then we'll go back.
Well, that's what he would like to have had. I was trying to get what I observed. No, I don't need to be doing anything for I don't know what to call it. But I can save time because we have many people to take. If you will get the attitude. Now, he wants it like you want it, all the way through. I'll be happy to go all the way through. So.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei kleine Tier, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Käfer hangen. Da horten sie beide das traurige Meer, das Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen. Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier, wohl der kläglichen Kunde, der eine sprach, wie weh wird mir, wie brennt meine alte Wunde. Der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus, auch ich möcht mit der sterben, doch hab ich Weib und Kind zu Haus, die mich verderben. Was schämt mich Weib, was schämt mich Kind? Ich trage ein besseres Belangen. Lass sie bitte gehen, wenn sie hungrig sind. Mein Kaiser gefangen. Gewöhn mich, Bruder, eine Bild, wenn ich jetzt sterben werde. So nimm meine Leiche nach Frankreich mit, begrab mich in Frankreichs Erde. Das Herrenkreuz am Nottenbahn sollst du auf Erde legen. Die Flinte gib mir in die Hand und geht mich um den Degen. So will ich liegen durch im Stil wie eine Schildwagenkrabbe.
and I want to hug.
Let's go to work. Now, first, how much German have you had, and with whom have you studied it? So far as diction is concerned.
4 years with a native German teacher.
All right. Have you studied diction of German in relation to how you're going to sing it?
No.
Okay.
I've had suggestions to it.
Okay. You need to make an absolute study of how, of number one, number one, there are a couple of things that you seem to be confused on, and that is the actual sound of the umlaut when it's over a word, and how you would use the short eh sound, like in geschlagen and things like that. And then in the singing, you never use anything that's in G with g. It's for long n, not for long gen. You don't not ever say for long gen. It's for long n. Long. It's long. It's in G. Just so and then en following it. So let's go right from the beginning, and we'll work first on the German, and then we'll, when you have a GE like in geschlagen, you don't have, you might have to make sure that it's a short e. It's never a g. G is the French mute sound, but it's geschlagen. It's not geschlagen or geschlagen or anything. It's just a short e. Let's go from the beginning. Now, what I want you to do, Sylvia had you do something. You're just relating a story here. When we get to the soldiers and their conversation, you have to be absolutely aware of who is saying what, and when the person is making a statement and when they are speaking. So you have to, in your mind, mostly it would have to be just to be aware of the fact that der eine sprach. One of them said, how heavy it is, wie weh wird mir. The other said, brennen in my sprint meine einige Wange. And you have to make all of this a dramatic situation. And then when he gets to the end and that Marseillaise comes, you are the soldier who is going to rise up and join the emperor. The people say Kaiser, that's the German word for emperor. It's Napoleon. He's waiting to come back and go to war again for France. So don't think Kaiser means somebody in German. That's the French emperor. To have that clear in your mind, even though this. Now, I want you to just tell me, just say to me those words. Just say it.
The poem from the beginning?
Yeah, from the beginning.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere.
Okay, nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. The two Grenadiers, not zwei Grenadiere. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. It's just that simple. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere. What? They were in Russia. Die waren in Russland. They were taken prison in Russia. And when they came, also in the Deutsche, when they came to the German frontier, they let their heads bow in sorrow. Now that's all you have to do in that. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe an. Just do that way, just as natural as you can.
Singing.
No, singing. I'm going back to what you were doing.
Nach Frankreich. Am I rolling the R's too much?
No, that's all right. I'll correct you if you do.
Okay. Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadiere, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hängen.
Da hörten. That's H-O,
hörten sie beiden das.
What is that?
The tragic.
Okay,
tale.
good. We're together. Go ahead. What is the tragic news?
The das Frankreich verloren
France is lost.
Right.
Right? So das Frankreich verloren
gegangen.
Das Frankreich
verloren.
Oh, they heard the tragic news, right? Okay. Go ahead.
Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
He's been taken prison, right? Go ahead. Now go ahead. Now we're getting somewhere. See what I mean?
Right.
You are telling a story and you are relating it what they are thinking. Go ahead. Now let's go ahead.
Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier.
What is that?
Then cried together.
All right, then what did they da weinten zusammen. They cried together. Weinten zusammen. Weinten is the important thing, right? Okay, go ahead.
Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier. Voll ob der kläglichen Kunde.
And der eine sprach, one said.
Der eine sprach, wie weh.
No! Der eine sprach, wie weh. Der eine sprach, wie weh wird mir. That's what he's saying, right? So do that. Der eine
sprach, wie weh wird mir.
Der andere sprach, the other one
Wie brennt meine alte Wunde.
Okay. Now what?
Der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus.
No. Der eine sprach, wie weh wird mir, wie brennt meine. Der andere sprach. There's a difference. Der andere said, ich muss mit dir. Go ahead. See what I mean? You create a situation in which you're back and forth, giving dialogue.
Sometimes you have the advantage of only one note like you don't get with this. But this gives you, your aria you're going to do, gives you a very good preview of what the type of song. So now you stop being Joe. Stop being Joe, try to get yourself to be. And when you come up to singing position, I'll count 2 slows and then start.
Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Käfer hangen. Da hatten sie beide das traurige Meer, das Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
You're very fortunate because I let you get all that far. It isn't that there's something wrong with it, but most of the rest of it falls into this category. Now, I would like to know what you were thinking as you did it. You translated each word. You knew what you were talking about. Now, could you also read it? You couldn't do it from memory as a poem.
I believe I could.
You could try, and then you can have the book if not. Do it as the poem. Who wrote the poem?
Heinrich Heine.
Heine, and it was a poem long before Schubert saw it. All right? Let's do it for a poetry class, for a drama class. Do it.
Die beiden Grenadiere von Heine. Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadiere. Die waren.
That's why you need it. Many a singer has memorized well that the minute you separate it from the adaptation for music, then they forget it. Doesn't mean you don't know. But read that unashamedly, as if you were reading it for a poetry class. Now read it with the feeling you expect.
Nach Frankreich zogen 2 Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen. Und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Käfer hangen. Da hörten sie beide die traurige Meer, dass Frankreich verloren gegangen.
besiegt und geschlagen, das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen.
All right, let's do it again with expression. You're doing it according because you did it rhythmically, but that's not the way he conceived it. And it's another thing if you will put in front of your head right here, you singers who are fooling with poetry, that you strive for truth because it came to the poet in a certain way. It didn't come not from right to God. How did it come? Speak. You're telling the story. Go. Not Frankreich.
Not Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier.
Now I don't get that. You came down. Not Frankreich it is zwei Grenadier. The punchline is zwei Grenadier, isn't it? Zwei Grenadier came. So I don't expect to put you on the spot now, but when you go home, you study this. What? I'm about to call you. I would like for Dr. Well, of course, I wanted to prepare you for. Did I say anything that you would not? This is primitive. You will be finished off by him. Yeah, not finished off, finished. He puts anything he feels like saying, you should say it. I don't want this to seem like it's a fight superiority. I come nowhere near, and I realize it, nowhere near Dr. Warfield. We've thrown together a whole lot, and he gives in as a gentleman, and the fact that he knows I don't know too much, because I've had no personal producing experience of performing. But, sir, do you have anything this early to say?
Yeah, I want to work with him on various things, but I want you to finish what you're doing.
Well, I have nothing more. Get acquainted with the poem. You don't seem to know what you're speaking about as well. Try once more reading that first page as if you were doing a dissertation.
Okay, nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier.
What about it? Go on.
Die waren in Russland gefangen, und als sie kommen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hangen. Da horchten sie beide das traurige Meer, das
I'm going to present something that Dr. Warfield sang yesterday, and I hope I can come even close to his degree of passion.
Now, have you had a chance to glance at this in whatever shape? What did you do in learning this? You had to have it for your voice teacher, and she or he assigned it to you. How quickly do you?
Yeah, this is a poem by Heinrich Heine.
He at least knows that. Let's give him.
And it's drenched in irony. It's a ballad story of two sad soldiers that have lost the war.
In what war?
Russia. It's Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon has been smashed, and the poor soldiers are marching home or trotting home to France through Germany, and their great dream of empire they see crushed and smashed and destroyed all around them. And the first soldier says, the song is over. There's no hope. The second one says, well, I agree. I would just die here with you, but I have my wife and my children to tend to, and I have to deal with them and go home. And the first soldier says, forget the wife and forget the kids. I have a higher dream. Says, I dream that one day I will be lying in my grave, and then their Kaiser, Napoleon, will come, soaring over my grave, and I'll be there, and I will be waiting in my grave as a sentinel, and I will rise up, and I will rise up out of the grave to serve, to defend my Kaiser.
And what is the tune that is incorporated in Schumann's Lied that it didn't belong to him in the first place?
You'll notice strains of the Marseillaise, the great patriotic.
Tell me, before you began, have you been affected at all by what you got from Mr. Warfield, Dr. Warfield?
Yes,
Did
yes.
Well, you don't have to tell us what it is. You just see if it is. All right, now we're going to start. Is this a master class?
Yes.
All right, so we start off. Now, you have told more than you have to in most small recitals or in a competition or in an audition for a conductor or a manager. You have given what you don't even have to do it for most of them. But now you're ready. When you walk in, I do this in my class in performance. I have you come in from there. And I am the accompanist. You've never seen me before, and you hope to God I can play your music. Sometimes, you know, there are people, like my mother was that kind. You could bring her a manuscript that had been left out all night in the rain, and you wanted 2 keys higher. She could do it. That is not my talent. So that this is easy comparatively, and then I happen to know it. But when you walk in, you should come immediately to your accompanist whom you've never seen. Tell the accompanist that I'm doing this as it's written. I am not doing any repeats. And if you have any changes, they should be marked in red. Because anything in a black ink is going to look like the printer's ink. That's not enough of a light to give you a warning. Do you understand? You should make it as easy as you can by making it easy for this accompanist with whom you've never had a run-through. How many times have you all had this kind of a date? You know, very epical. It means a lot because Maestro so-and-so is out there. And you walk in and you've never seen it. It could be Divine Grenadier. But now what happens when I play for you tell me to start? When you come here and talk to me, and you say, I'm not doing any repeats, I'm doing it as it's written, and this is all quiet. They don't hear, and they shouldn't hear any of this. And then when I get to the bend of the piano, I have introduced myself clearly about my name and my classification as a singer. And then you give the title, it would be hoped, that is Divine Grenadier by Schumann. That, you know, that isn't telling anything. Speak it clearly, separated from the composer. And you have told the accompanist, when I begin to stop being Jimmy Joe, what's your name?
Joe.
Joe. When I have stopped being Joe and I try to be a grenadier, I will lift my head to singing position. I shouldn't have to turn to you and tell you, okay. When I lift up, I am at performing position. Give me 2 more seconds and then start out. Then you are on whether you're singing or not. Do you get that?
And when you give the dialogue of the person that's saying it, then he has an excuse. He said, I would like to go back with you, but he said, but I have a wife and child. And they need me. But oh, what matters? Oh, my emperor, he's the one. It's not them. Let them beg bread if they have to. I got to go and help my emperor. That is the only reason that you can say, I'm going to let them beg bread, because the emperor in France has to be saved. Otherwise, it would be very cold and callous to say, oh, what do I care if my wife and child die? And see, it's a whole different attitude, right? Okay, let's go back now and do it again. Now, let's sing with that same thing in mind. Now, I wouldn't say Frank. Not Frankreich is one word. Frank. Now, and don't don't let your rhythm of the piano take you away from just the narration. You are going to be saying something against what the piano is playing, so far as having to. You won't get to that you're right. In the piano until you're ready to march, right? So just say it. Just sing it ordinary. Go ahead, right from you.
Nach Frankreich zogen zwei Grenadier, die waren in Russland gefangen.
What did you say?
Die waren in Russland gefangen.
No, say it. Sing it.
Die waren in Russland gefangen.
You said gefangen. You're going to have to really practice to get out of that. Gefangen, not gefangen, no g. Okay. Die waren
in Russland gefangen.
Und als
sie kamen ins deutsche Quartier, sie ließen die Köpfe hangen. Da hörten sie beide das traurige.
No, you gotta learn to just da trauge.
Yeah, die
trauge. I know that's difficult, but der, die, and das. And righty.
Dame and Dane. Don't forget that.
I was in Germany and somebody was over here. Ich habe gegangen and I said, oh my God. Don't they know that you have to see bin, not ich habe gegangen, with the verb to be, it is not. So really a lot of this you know if you study German. So get you, da haben Sie, go ahead.
Da hörten sie beide die traurige Mehr, dass Frankreich verloren gegangen. Besiegt und geschlagen das tapfere Heer und der Kaiser gefangen. Da weinten zusammen die Grenadier, voll Lob der kläglichen Kunde, der eine sprach, wie welches wir, wie brennt meine alte Wunde. Der andere sprach, das Lied ist aus, auch ich mit der Stimme,
What's keeping me from I have a wife and child
und Kind zu Haus, die
without
können mich verderben.
Aber
Verschämt Weib, verschämt mich Kind. Ich trage weit besseres Verlangen. Lass sie betten gehen, wenn sie hungrig sind. Mein Kaiser gefangen. Gefällt mir, Bruder, eine Bild, wenn ich jetzt sterben werde. So nimm meine Leiche nach Frankreichs mit, begrab mich in Frankreichs Erde. Das aus Ehre mit der roten Bahn sollst du auf Herz mir legen. Die Fliete gib mir in die Hand und jetzt bekomm den Nägel. So will ich liegen und horchen wie ein Schildwagen im Trab, bis einst ich dann reitet mein